Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 23 of Your Take, My Take by John and Jacob. I'm John.
I'm Jacob.
And today we're going to continue our assistance and our take on fantasy football draft that everyone should be hopefully participating in pretty soon. Today we're going to do our top 5 tight ends and also some sleeper and potential bust. We're only doing 5 because there isn't that many.
Yeah.
And so if you can get one good tight end, you're lucky.
Uh-huh.
And so we're going to start off with a coin flip, and I'll let Jacob pick it again.
Heads.
It's heads.
All
right.
Oh,
So
you can go first.
all right, so we're going to go. Do you want to do the 1 or do you want to start at 5?
It's whatever you want. We can start at 1, I guess.
All right,
Make
start
it
at 1. I think it's pretty obvious. Number 1, I think we're probably going to be similar, is Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's the best tight end in the last few years. I think if he continues his pace, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to get a lot of touches. He's probably the most reliable targets that Mahomes has. He does all the routes, and so he's gonna and he's durable too. So that's a big factor for him. So I like Travis Kelce number 1. Who do you have?
I also have Travis Kelce number 1. He's the most consistent fantasy tight end right now. He's the only tight end right now going in the first round of fantasy drafts.
Late first round though.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But in a very deep 12 to 14 team league, he might be one of the.
Well,
first
his
round.
average spot is 7.
Wow. Okay.
He's the most reliable person. He always plays well. You always know what you're gonna get out of him. He's the best. He's the most sought after target on the best offense in the NFL, the Chiefs. He's Patrick Mahomes, the best QB's favorite target, so he'll be very good this year, and it's a no-brainer pick for the best tight end.
Who do you have for number 2 then?
For number 2, I have Darren Waller. Darren Waller is not a first-round tight end, but he is a really good tight end. He's in a similar situation of he's their only offense, but he's got a crappier situation. He's got Derek Carr. He's not that good. But he gets a lot of targets, and he's actually a pretty good tight end. He gets a lot of catches, too.
I actually have Darren Waller at my number 2 also. And I think he's number 2 because of the fact that we're talking about the PPR league again, where you get points for every reception. For him, he's going to get the most looks. He's literally their only threat on their team. I mean, they have other threats, but he's by far the most established threat. So he's their best player. He just, unfortunately, he plays with Derek Carr and the Raiders. But if you want a good tight end, he's probably the second best, especially in the PPR league, because he's going to get thrown at the most. So my third, I think we're going to be similar in this too. I have George Kittle. A lot of people might have George Kittle number 2, but I have him number 3. And this is why. He's got more talent around him than Darren Waller. Yeah. So, and I don't love Jimmy G. I don't know if Jimmy G is going to play or if Trey Lance. I just don't know. The quarterback uncertainty and also the fact that he has got a lot more playmakers. And we know that they have like 4 running backs that they're going to run the ball. But George Kittle, when he plays,
is good.
He's productive. And he is talented. And so I'm not saying that just because we listen below certain people that the talent is different. It's just talking about fantasy. And so George Kittle, I believe, could be even 1. He could be 1A and 1B with Travis Kelce. I just don't trust his quarterbacks like I do with Travis Kelce. That's why I have him a third, because he has other weapons around him that he has to compete for.
Yes, I also have George Kittle at number 3. I think he's got all the skill in the world. The thing is that San Francisco has a lot of weapons on their team, and he might be the number 1, but San Francisco likes to run the ball a lot. They have very talented receivers, so I think that the opportunity for him, there's just guys that have better opportunity, but that doesn't mean the skill is there. Another thing that worries me is he gets injured a lot. The other 2 players I named before him are more durable, I would say. So that's something to look out for. But George Kittle has a lot of skill, and he's a really good tight end. Number 4, T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah. Lions.
On a very dark team as the Lions are, there's a little bit of light in T.J. Hawkinson. He's going to get force-fed the ball a lot. Like, talk about an opportunity. This guy has a ton of opportunity because if any of these other receivers that the Lions have, they wouldn't be on the team, or they wouldn't be getting as much time as they would be on the Lions. Therefore, T.J. Hawkins is going to get the ball a lot of catches. I don't know about touchdowns because I don't know if they're going to be scoring a lot, but I know they're going to be getting a lot of catches and targets towards T.J. Hawkinson.
Well, I so far Jacob and I are exactly right in terms of the tight ends. I have T.J. Hawkinson at number 4. Some people have him a little bit lower. I have him at that because he is the only legitimate threat besides maybe DeAndre Swift, the running back for the Lions. Hawkinson's the only established threat that we have. Yeah. And I think the Lions are going to not have time to throw to the deep threats, and Hawkinson's going to get a lot of looks. And you know what? He's good. He might not play for a very good Lions team right now, but he's a very good piece for them to build on and to grow. He's actually a very good. His fantasy value underappreciates how good of a tight end he is. I think he's a very good blocker too. But in terms of just production for fantasy points, I put him at 4. And for my number 5, it's kind of a split. I think it's one is on the up and one is on the down. I have Mark Andrews from the Baltimore Ravens, and he's tied with Kyle Pitts for the Atlanta Falcons. The reason why I have both of them because I think Mark Andrews is probably on the downhill. I think his value is pretty much capped because he plays for the Ravens, and I think the Ravens have picked up other talent around them. And let's be honest, Lamar is not the greatest throwing quarterback, but Mark Andrews is an established asset for the Ravens. What Kyle Pitts has the most talent probably out of everyone on this list in terms of pure receiving as a tight end. I don't know if they're going to put him at tight end or receiver, but the fact is they're going to probably list him as tight end. If they do, then he's going to get a lot of looks. When they had to really like him to say, hey, Julio Jones, you can leave, and we're going to trust Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts to take over. And we haven't seen Kyle Pitts play 1 minute in the NFL yet, but for some reason they're willing to give up a Hall of Fame receiver to give room for this guy.
They don't want to pay his medical bills anymore.
That's probably true too, but I think they're really high in Kyle Pitts. You don't see a tight end get drafted that high in the draft without having some kind of inclination that they're going to throw the ball to him. So he's number 5, but he's kind of uncertain.
For number 5, I also have Mark Andrews. I don't have a split because I think Mark Andrews, you know what you're getting out of him, but he's got a lot more potential if Lamar Jackson can throw the ball decently to him. Because last year he didn't play great, but he was still a top 10 tight end, and that speaks a lot for him not getting the ball a lot. But he gets a lot of end zone looks, and I just think that he's got some more potential. But if they play the same as last year, which we don't know, but if he does, then he's on more of a decline. But it's up to Lamar Jackson for that.
Mark Andrews is another player that I think is undervalued in the fantasy team, just because he is another really good blocker, and you can see that they generally try to use him as a lead blocker in a lot of these end-out runs by the Ravens. And so he is a very good blocker, but that doesn't equate into points for us. If we want him to get the ball, and Lamar, I just don't know if Lamar can do it. So who's your potential biggest sleeper?
I'll give you 2. I won't talk about this one, but Kyle Pitts, he's got all the potential. He's on a pass-heavy team that they will be down basically the whole game, so they're going to throw the ball a lot. He ran a 4.4, and he's a tight end, 6'6", and he's got great hands. There's a reason why he was the number 3 draft pick. He's really skilled. I think that maybe he started a little slowly, but he'll build up kind of like Justin Jefferson. But I think he's got a lot of skill. My another sleeper, he's a really deep sleeper, but Irv Smith Jr. But this guy played, and when Kyle Rudolph was out, he was a legit top 5 tight end. So I think that
Irv Smith?
Yeah, Irv Smith.
Last year? The 2 games he played?
He played 4.
All right.
But
that's really deep.
Yes.
Deep analysis there,
but,
Jacob.
If you play in a deep league, you need this.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying he's really athletic. He's got good hands, and I think that he could show flashes and be really good for them. Kyle Rudolph's gone, and he was his only competition, and now Irv Smith's going to be starting. So that's it.
But you also have Adam Thielen back, who takes those intermediate routes also. So
Thielen's kind of old.
No.
Yes.
I don't trust any of the tight ends for the. I don't think.
And they like to use their tight ends.
I don't think
so
Kirk
it's-
Cousins goes to them. Okay. Well, anyways,
he's a pretty bad
that's
QB.
that would be a very late pick, and that's if you draft your whole roster and need a tight end. Irv Smith's around, you might want to pick him up. So my two sleepers are this Noah Fant for the Broncos. You know, Bridgewater goes to tight ends. And Bridgewater does throw. He doesn't have a great deep ball anymore, so he's going to throw it to their tight end. And Noah Fant is actually very athletic. His biggest issue, and I've had him on multiple teams before, he gets injured all the time. He's always dinged up, and so that hurts him. But in terms of a sleeper, if he can stay healthy and Bridgewater can actually get looks, Noah Fant is going to get a lot of touches and is going to get a lot of looks, and he's going to be a key part of their offense. The second sleeper that I have is Jonnu Smith for the Patriots. I think he's going to be good. And granted, he plays with Cam Newton.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say.
But
Cam
if you
Newton.
look at anybody else on that team, he's their best offensive player on that team, and they have to throw in the ball. And he's
They
athletic.
have Hunter Henry.
Yeah, Hunter Henry is always hurt. And he's not. They're looking at Smith's a better receiver than Hunter. And so I agree that we're going to split carries, split touches, but I like Jonnu Smith better. And so that's another deep stash that you can get in later rounds. But Noah Fant probably will be a legitimate tight end 1 if you can get him.
Not bad.
All right. Well, I'll do my bust. So I like to do busts that everyone's really heavy on or really think that they're going to do well. I'm not going to go way deep down because there's a lot of potential busts down in the later rounds. But I'm going to say my 2 that I have in my top 5. T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but he's now going to play. He doesn't have Matthew Stafford winging the ball anymore. He doesn't have Kenny Golladay. He doesn't have Marvin Jones Jr. He's going to be it. And it wouldn't surprise me if they put a linebacker and a safety on him to double cover him because he's going to be the only threat on the receiving end of it. And let's say Jared Goff, he's not going to do anything either. So that worries me. It's not his fault. It's going to be the fact that his team doesn't have weapons to surround him. So he's going to demand a lot of coverage over TJ. And so I love TJ. I think he's a great pickup for the Lions when they drafted him. It's just they didn't give him any help.
Yeah.
The other one I have is Mark Andrews, and I talked about it briefly, is that Lamar Jackson, I don't trust him getting him the ball. And like I said, I think the Ravens were more focused on trying to get receiving help instead of improving Lamar's technique and maybe utilizing Mark Andrews. They went out and got receivers. And so that also says that they want to throw downfield more, and that's what Lamar seems to be better at, is throwing bombs instead of going to these short ins and outs and slants. And so I think Mark Andrews could be a potential bust. Again, I pick people that everyone has as tight end 1s that could have some issues, and those are I would draft him still, but I would be concerned about those issues.
I picked T.J. Hawkinson, but I won't talk about him because he took all my points I was gonna say. But these 2 tight ends, they're also going pretty high. I looked at. They also play for the same team. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Let me just keep it simple. Number 1 reason, Cam Newton. Number 2 reason, the New England Patriots as a whole team. But Hunter Henry, I like him. He's got a lot of good. He's really good, but injuries have totally ruined his career. I don't see him playing past 4 games. And
He's already hurt.
Yeah, and Jonnu Smith, he runs pretty good routes, but he's more of a deep tight end. He played more of a deep outs, and let's just be honest, Cam Newton can't throw past 25 yards.
That's true.
So this really worries me, and they're both going decently high because they both played pretty good last year because Jonnu Smith was good, and Hunter Henry's always pretty good.
They're going high because they're both pretty good, and New England is dedicated to use tight ends in their offense.
They've done it before, but they actually had a decent quarterback and good tight ends.
Decent quarterback. He said he's the greatest of all time.
But
regardless, yeah, I get your point. They're not Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. I mean, those 2 guys were spectacular when they played with Tom Brady. They're not going to replicate that at all. But so tight ends is a tricky position to draft. If you don't get the top 3 or maybe 4, it's almost wait until you go to the mid rounds and say, I'll take a tight end 1 that is kind of in the middle, because you don't want to waste valuable draft spots on getting a second tier tight end when you can get a first tier wide receiver,
Yeah.
or even a second tier running back. And so tight ends is a tricky position. If you're not going to get one of the top 3, I think, then you might as well wait, and you can pick up other people that probably you just don't want to. You want a tight end to give you at least a touchdown, at least get you some points. Anywhere between 6 to 12 points in the later rounds is a great pickup, because you just don't want, because the other guys are going to get you a lot more points. The top 3 guys will get you a lot more points. It's just that there isn't that much of a difference between probably 5 down to 20. And so you got to be careful on trying to draft tight ends too high. But again, you could do what you want. I'm just giving you some hints and some helpful things. Just don't use that against me in my league. But we love fantasy football. We're gonna, we're hopeful that you guys find that these videos are helpful. But again, tight ends is a very kind of tricky situation, because you have to get either one of the really good ones, or you might want to wait. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. If you don't go in the first one through 3, then you might as well just wait until the next tier of them go.
But you'll see some crazy people in your league that will pick up dual tight ends and try to flex them, which is crazy.
It's not a bad strategy.
What? Are you kidding?
Well, if you get somebody like Travis Kelce and George Kittle, it's just the margin between tight ends is you don't want to play a guy that has Darren Waller and then another guy that has, let's just say, Kyle Pitts. The margin there is like by 10 points.
That means you're giving up 2
running backs
or receivers. And so you have to be very careful on that. Don't fall in love with tight ends because you think that they're going to be demanding the ball. I don't know. Besides Travis Kelce, and even his stats don't compare to the top end receivers and running backs. So you got to be careful on that. But, fantasy football, like I told you before, it's a great time. It's about to start. So prepare, make notes, watch our videos, and start taking some notes, because I think we gave you some helpful inside notes. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, this is episode 22 by John and Jacob. I'm John.
I'm Jacob.
And I'll see you guys later.